Chris Sullivan. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing really well.
Oh, excited. Is this early for you? What's your, I don't know what your life looks like. Is this a little early?
I'm usually up. It's a little early, but I'm usually up at 6:30, and so 5:45 to start jumping on some radio shows is not so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little change of pace for the morning here. Well,
yeah.
we are talking about Joseph the Spouse. Let's start at the beginning before we get to the album here. A lot of people obviously know you as an actor and didn't have any clue you did music. Tell us kind of the history of you with music.
Yeah, I've as a theater actor, I came up in the theater in Chicago, and then moved to New York in 2010, and did a bunch of Broadway shows, a couple of Broadway musicals, and released a very different type of record back in 2014. But I've always been a songwriter, and I've always been music has always been a great way for me to connect with other artists. Anywhere you go, someone is playing guitar, playing piano, playing drums, and the beautiful thing about making music is musicians are always looking for other musicians. And so if you bring a group of songs to a group of players, they're ready to collaborate. So luckily I met Taylor Goldsmith, and we knocked out this record.
And did you guys get together just for the purpose of making this record? Or, do you guys play a lot together? Is this going to be something that you continue after? Or was this like, we got together, we made the album, and now we're done?
I certainly hope it continues after. He obviously is the front man of his own band called Dawes. And basically what happened was when I first started working on This Is Us, was dating Mandy Moore. I had not ashamedly heard of Dawes, so I downloaded every single record they'd ever made and started listening, and I started texting him and asking him questions and kind of connecting with him over music. Then one day I'm at home, I'm writing essentially the first verse to a song called Deaf Ears on the record, and it sounded like a John Prine song, and John Prine is one of my great heroes. And I asked Taylor over text message, I'm like, hey, man, you want to write a John Prine song? And he said, sure. And over the next 2 days, we wrote Deaf Ears via text message. And that kind of set us off running. We're like, let's write a bunch more of these. Yeah. And now we have 6 Feet From Under.
The whole album there. Before we keep moving on here, let's let everybody know. The new album, Joseph the Spouse. The album is 6 Feet From Under, released November 19th, which means, you guys, it's out. Where's the easiest way for people to grab the album?
iTunes, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you download or stream music, it should be available.
I like to ask those questions still, like when people do podcasts. I'm like, where do you get podcasts? And then they answer the same way, like, everywhere podcasts are, I guess. So yeah, wherever you get your music, you can get Joseph the Spouse, the new album there. Yeah. I want to know, because I listened to it, and maybe this is just my ignorance with music here, I feel like it's hard to define. I was thinking, I heard like country, and then I played your album, and I was like, this doesn't sound like traditional country to me. Like it seems like it's like genre bending. How do you describe the music?
Well, I was raised on country music. My father raised me on John Prine, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and then so all of those influences go into what my style is, which is kind of folk music. So that kind of tones down a little bit of the country twang. And then you bring Taylor in, and Taylor is this musical genius who has a lot of Frank Zappa and Dire Straits and Jackson Browne, and so he brings a lot of this like 70s rock soul to it. So you end up with this country folk record that has a lot of like synthesizers and a lot of like pop music sound to it. So I think you're spot on. It kind of floats around to a bunch of different genres.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting and cool that you get to do it too. I want to know how this works where like, did they know on This Is Us that you could sing? Like when they make people on shows do music, I always wonder if they cast you and then tell you, oh, by the way, this character is going to sing this season, or is that something that they know the whole cast, like, okay, Chrissy can sing, okay, Chris can sing,
yeah.
We need those characters. Like, how does that play out? Like, did they know like we could potentially make you a singer in the show if they wanted?
Yeah, generally they kind of gather their intel, right? Special skills, what people can and can't do, and if somebody has something that is unique, like Susan Coetzee Watson got featured as a dancer last season because she has a background in dance. They try to use that stuff. It certainly is valuable. But I think between Mandy Morse being such an incredible singer and Chrissy being an incredible singer, if Toby was also a singer, then we'd be into a totally different realm of reality.
Yeah, exactly. A little hybrid between Glee and This Is Us coming from
yeah, it would start to get a little confusing.
Yeah. How cool was it? I mean, obviously, as you said, I'm a theater guy myself too, and so I love theater, and that's where you came up, which I love. I mean, to me, that says a lot about an actor. You didn't just have a face for the business and get lucky and get cast. I mean, you've been working on it for a whole career here. Obviously, once you step into film and TV, I mean, that's a big step. How was it to get This Is Us? I'm sure when you got it, you're like, oh, another pilot. Cool. It's got some good people in it. You do it obviously, there's no way you could have known the magnitude of what you were becoming a part of here. I mean, how cool is it to see This Is Us just explode?
It's pretty astounding. First of all, speaking of theater, I have to say, my first professional live theatrical performance was in Billings, Montana, and I was on tour with a show called Defending the Caveman. It was probably back in 2004 or 2005.
Dude, Chris, just a second. I've got to tell you, I was at the performance of Defending the Caveman at the Alberta Bear Theater, probably back in 04 or 05.
Buddy,
I worked at that theater.
That was me.
That is insane.
That was me.
Wow. I cannot believe it. You know what's crazy is, as a theater guy, I looked that up and I was like, okay, so it's not the original actor doing the show. I wonder if someday I could get good enough that I could tour doing Defending the Caveman.
I believe in you. I believe you could. The hardest part about that show is memorizing an 85-page monologue, which I don't know if you remember that show that night. I forgot my lines 3 different times on stage because it was my first time doing it.
It's so incredible.
It was a crazy night.
What a cool connection here. I feel like that, now you've got to come back at some point and revisit your roots here. But so as a theater guy, obviously, you're touring around. That's a big get to be able to be on the road and, do a show on your own. But This Is Us, I mean, that's got to feel like, now your whole career.
This Is Us comes along and it's a slow burn, right? Like you get the show and you're like, oh, well, we'll see what happens. And slowly but surely, we had a little bit of a hint because season 1, when they released the trailer for This Is Us, it got 90 million views on Facebook. And we thought, okay, people are connecting with this even before they've seen it. And so once we hit the air, it was just, here we are 5 seasons later, and we're still the #1 show on network television, and that's incredible. That's incredible, and it just goes to show you that our writers and our production staff have just created a show that people connect with, that people see themselves in. So it's an honor, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody wanted to know earlier, they said, how much has COVID changed the storyline? Obviously the writers probably went into this season knowing where things were going to go, and how much has COVID in the world had to change the trajectory of the show?
Yeah, they've certainly adapted and kind of made a few left turns here and there. They've managed to keep most of the themes kind of on point, but these characters have become such a part of people's family. Our show, people find their way in through these people, and so having COVID be a part of the show felt kind of like a responsibility for us. If any show was going to do it, we needed to be the ones to reflect back to people watching. We see you. We know what you're going through. We are experiencing the same thing, and hopefully everything is going to be okay. But our writers are the best in the business, so they're handling it very well.
Is that hard on set for that? How much has production changed because of COVID, or is it mostly the behind-the-scenes people with their masks and face shields and stuff?
Oh no, it's all of us. Every single person on the crew and cast and crew is getting tested 3 times a week. We all wear face shields and masks on set. We have these when the actors aren't working, they sit us in these little plexiglass boxes. It makes us look like life-size action figures of ourselves. And there's a lot of a lot of hand washing, a lot of hand sanitizer, and we're taking it very, very seriously and trying to keep everyone safe and healthy and still be able to work.
I love that you guys are in those boxes. I just picture somebody coming up and knocking on your plexiglass when it's time to shoot a scene. Chris,
pretty much. That's pretty much what happens.
Get out of the box. It's time here, sir. What do we think for everybody that's caught up on This Is Us here? What do we think's coming here? Give us some news about where this season's headed.
Yeah, I mean, at least for Toby and Kate, they're endeavoring to adopt. The Pearsons have a long history with adoption, and Toby and Kate are next in line to kind of see how that goes for them, and COVID is going to be a factor, and it looks like they're going through what people call the open adoption process, where you know the person who is giving birth to the child. So it's going to be a tricky season. There's going to be a lot of extra stresses and conflict, as there always is in This Is Us. But it's going to be a tumultuous, exciting season.
That's This Is Us. That's what we're looking forward to. With the success,
that's exactly.
With the success of This Is Us, I'm assuming your agent's phone is probably blowing up. Is that a double-edged sword when you're still involved in a show like this, where you might be getting some big offers, but you're not able to do those projects yet because of This Is Us? Or are you able to balance this and some exciting new projects? Are you kind of on hold until This Is Us ends?
Well, generally speaking, we have 4 to 5 months off between seasons, and that's when we're able to go do other things. And I had big plans for this last hiatus. I was going to be in New York working on another big project, and now I'm not able to, because we're back into the show, which is fine. I'm really lucky to have a job at all, and to have a company that figures out a way for all of us to work safely. But yeah, we're almost done. The creator said the show's going to come to an end at the end of season 6. So, and we'll see what happens at that point.
I have a feeling it'll be a lot of picking and choosing for the best projects for you, which obviously is an exciting place to be in there. So This Is Us, of course, if you guys have not checked it out, you need to check it out, because obviously the show is fantastic. Also, we need everybody to check out the album, which is available now, Joseph the Spouse. The album is 6 Feet From Under. You can check that out and grab that album anywhere. I want to know a little bit about your weight on the show. I'm a big guy that recently lost a lot of weight on the show. I can't tell if all of it is prosthetics and makeup, or did you actually get in better shape over these seasons? Like, how much of your body on that show can we actually give you credit for, and how much of it's just right?
So the plan had always been, that Toby was a guy who was a smaller size, and then due to depression and anxiety gained a bunch of weight. And then the plan was for him, in this relationship with Kate, to lose a bunch of weight. So season 1, I am in a full suit, a full costume. And then season 2, the costume got a little smaller, and so did I, underneath the costume. And that kind of continued on until season 3, where I lost the costume altogether, and what you see is just me. So I was both losing weight, and the character was losing weight. So now it's all me, baby.
It's all you. Was the losing weight just a personal life decision, or did any of that come with the show? Was that, oh no, I have to lose weight for Toby, I will lose weight because of that? Or was it just you were losing weight as a healthy human and it coincided with the show?
A bit of both. You move out here to California, you're munching on avocados, you're doing yoga, you're doing all the California things, and the weight starts to fall off. And it was a nice motivation. If the character was going to lose weight, I can lose some weight. And the schedule of working on the show allowed me the time, to go to the gym and get to my yoga classes and do all these things, and it feels good, man. I feel better than I've felt in a long time.
I love it. I love hearing that, man. I love you. I love the show. I love the music. I love it all. Joseph the Spouse.
Thanks, man.
The album's available now, 6 Feet From Under, and of course, everybody knows, find This Is Us on NBC. Chris, thanks so much for taking time for us, and hey, maybe we'll have to do a revival of the Caveman at some point here in Billings.
That'd be awesome.
I love it. Thanks for taking time for us. Best of luck with everything. Happy holidays, and thanks again for joining us. Have a great one.
Thank you, sir.